FireRed is my personal favorite game, but I've played it probably 1,000 times by now, so I pretty much know all the boss orders and which Pokemon I need to hard counter them. So what can you possibly do to make the game feel fresh again without straying too far from the original version? Well, one day I was just thinking about that and it randomly hit me. Why not change the order of the bosses so I couldn't lean on my game knowledge anymore? We'll keep it simple, so I'll just take the current order that they're in and I'll reverse it. So we're starting against Gym Leader Lance and finishing the game with Elite 4 Brock. Throw on some hardcore Nuzlocke restrictions to add some extra stakes, and we've got ourselves the world's first FireRed Reverse Challenge. And this immediately affects our starter choice, as before when we were facing Brock, either Bulbasaur or Squirtle were the best choices, but now that Lance is our first gym leader, neither of these three will have the distinct type advantage against his dragons. So to stay true to my 10-year-old self, we're gonna go with my personal favorite of the Kanto starters, my all-time GOAT, Chris the Charmander. Everything's the same so far as we take out our rival Togor.
Does anybody remember this Undertale character? His name is Togor Dreamer.
And grab our first team members, including Birdly the Pidgey on Route 1, Mouse the Rattata on Route 2, which helps us a little to remove it as an encounter on Route 22. I was hoping for a Mankey, as that was my childhood answer to Brock, but instead, we are gifted Reaper the Spearow as our encounter. Viridian Forest grants us Whimsun the Caterpie, but that's all we've got per our Nuzlocke rules as we enter against the first altered fight, Gym Leader Lance. Now, Lance's team was a little tough when I made these changes because it was important to me to design them with a similar level curve to the original game. Dratini was an easy shoo-in for his ace, but I went back and forth a little on his lead Pokemon. Obviously, Aerodactyl is too strong, and it felt weird to give him a Charmander so early on, so the best option, while keeping things not too challenging, was Magikarp. He's only got Tackle, obviously. I thought about doing the event Hydro Pump, but that felt too cruel. Carp's really the false sense of safety though, since Lance has trained his Dratini to use the overpowered Dragon Rage. At a constant 40 damage with each hit, it's unlikely that you'll have someone with enough HP to withstand more than one hit. And with Wrap and Thunder Wave support, this one might give Brock's Onix a run for his money. So let's see how it goes as Lance starts a battle with that Magikarp. I'm leading with Chris to take him out since I figured our other team members would have more use with their normal stab not being resisted by Dragon. Magikarp tickles us with a couple tackles, but Chris can claw out their eyes with a few scratches to bring out the true challenge. Dratini hits the field, and now it's Operation Save Chris. Unfortunately, everyone dies to a Dragon Rage, so we've got to hope and pray for the random AI to do its thing. Birdly comes out to take his place, and Dratini uses Thunder Wave. Luckily, the speed drop is useless since we're here to spam Quick Attack. And fortunately, the AI is spamming Leer, so we're doing a pretty good job of slowly chipping him away. But then Dratini uses Wrap. We won't be able to switch, but it's fine since we're not trapped with Dratini. Dratini's trapped here with us. One more Quick Attack, and Dratini hangs on. And this time, he fires back with Dragon Rage, taking out our little bird. Feels like this Nuzlocke took a weird route just now, but at least Mouse can come in and take out the last bit of his health, saving the rest of our team from a Dragon Rage sweep and taking out the Dragon Master for badge number 1. We place Birdly to rest in the PC box and proceed to the next route, where we can catch a few more encounters to round out the team again. On Route 3, we can grab a Nidoran named Susie. Ignore that it's a Nidoran male, the purple is just too perfect. And in Mount Moon, we can catch ourselves a Geodude named C-Round. Normally, these guys would be pretty crappy encounters for the Misty fight, but since she's replaced by Agatha, these two guys won't be so bad into her ghost types. Especially that we can immediately evolve into Nidoking thanks to the Moonstones here. We arrive in Cerulean, and we're at a crossroads here. I can either head up and fight our rival, which would unlock 2 more encounters for us, or we can head straight in and take on the second gym. I figured, you know what, I'm pretty happy with our team, especially that our 2 normal types have evolved, giving us a pretty good answer for any ghost threats. We might as well head in to take on the new ghost gym leader. So for Agatha's team, her team's got the worst adversity just due to Kanto's lack of ghost types. It didn't feel right to give her a Zubat or Ekans cause their vibe is more ghost than poison, but luckily, we can take inspiration from Misty's team of Staryu and Starmie to justify our decision to give Agatha 2 members of the Ghastly line. I originally had Ghastly and Haunter, but then I realized Misty would be way stronger for just base stat totals, so both her Pokemon got upgraded to match more closer to Misty's difficulty. The moves are pretty standard, Hypnosis, Lick, Nightshade, Curse, that kind of stuff. So as Agatha leads with Haunter, our strategy is to start with Whimsun to use the super effective Confusion. Unfortunately, Haunter outspeeds us and puts us asleep with Hypnosis, but since she cuts her own health with Curse, Whimsun can score the one-shot once he wakes up to take out her first Mon. Agatha then sends out her fully evolved Gengar, and not knowing if she's going to use her Ghost Stab, we made the smart choice to switch into Reaper Bird. She comes in on a Curse, meaning we've only got half her HP left to deal with. Yes, we're on a timer ourselves thanks to the Curse damage, but I'm confident a couple pecks can do the trick. And of course Gengar puts us to sleep. I still want to try again since we can always switch later, but Gengar locks us in with a mean look, meaning Reaper Bird is as good as dead. The Curse continues to tick away at our HP, and even though Reaper wakes up just in time to use Peck, proving it was in fact a two-shot, it just wasn't fast enough, as the Curse finishes off our final notch of health. Whimsun can come out to help clean up, barely surviving a Nightshade and luckily landing a Sleep Powder, which then opens the door for Chris to take out Gengar with Ember, but I was not expecting that Gengar bulk, and poor Reaper Bird had to pay the price. May she find peace and return to her family. We've got space for a new team member now, but our rival Togor is here to guard Nugget Bridge.
His name is Togor Dreamer.
His team is not changed, so we can use our existing game knowledge to take care of him, along with the rest of Nugget Bridge. Our Route 24 encounter ends up being an Oddish, joining the team as Flowey the Flower, and our Route 25 unfortunately teleports away, so we just lost out on that one. We arrive in Vermilion City for the next gym, and this one, I'm gonna have to break it down a little. Counting down from the Elite Four, our third gym's gonna be replaced by Bruno, matching Lieutenant Surge's team of 3. Machamp is an obvious shoo-in, and Onix can slot in nicely as his second Pokemon, but I needed someone for his lead. His other 2 Pokemon are the 2 Hitmons, and I was thinking to expand this roster from 3 to 4 so we could fit both. But ultimately, what I did was I gave him the pre-Evo and juiced his EVs a bunch to give him more bulk and firepower. I threw on Double Kick, Comet Punch, your standard moveset for level 21. Onix is similar with Bind to trap you and Rock Throw for damage, but Machamp, Low Kick and the high crit move Karate Chop, all this off of a base 130 attack, this guy's gonna hit like a truck. Oh, and Seismic Toss for the Game Freak move. You know they'd give him some stupid move like that. So, as Bruno starts with Tyrogue, we're starting with Whimsun to quad resist all his fighting attacks. Fortunately, we can outspeed and get a simple one-shot with Confusion, which immediately brings out Onix. We can switch into Suzy Zilla, our overpowered Nidoking, as Onix hits us with a Screech. But the defense drop doesn't even matter, as a single Water Pulse, thanks to me not being able to modify Agatha's TM gift, can score us the quad effective one-shot. That means Machamp is out last, and it looks like our Thrash doesn't do enough damage unfortunately, as Machamp uses our drop defense against us thanks to that Screech from before. We're locked in, so we gotta sit here and take him, but eventually we proc Bruno's heal AI as our Thrash finally wears off. We can go back into Whimsun, putting him to sleep with a Sleep Powder, and finally grabbing the KO with 2 Confusions, winning us Gym Badge number 3. Wow, we finally had a gym battle where we didn't lose any team members. Honestly, I wish I lost Mouse Eradicate though, since instead of the insanely strong Guts ability, we're stuck with Runaway.
Why are you running?
We're still collecting new encounters though, so I can run through them quickly as we fill out our PC box. On the route with the daycare, we've got Catty the Meowth. To the right of Vermilion, where all the gamblers are, we got Jockington the Ekans. Diglett's Cave is obviously going to be Dunebug the Diglett. And lastly, heading towards Rock Tunnel, we get Pippis the Voltorb. For Rock Tunnel itself, okay, just being honest, does anyone else stumble through blindly, or is it just me? I hate having to go through Diglett's Cave, there and then back, just to get the HM, and then teaching this useless move to one of our team members. You can't even delete it until you get to Fuchsia City, so I definitely prefer to pull up a map on Google and feel my way around. Arriving in the other half of Kanto, we quickly pass through Lavender Town and head towards Celadon City. There's a few things we need to pick up here, the first of which are a few new encounters. So on the route between Lavender and Celadon, we catch ourselves a Growlithe named Dogaressa, and inside the city, we actually have to make a decision. We can either get the gift Eevee, giving us access to potentially Jolteon or Vaporeon, or Flareon I guess if our starter dies in the next gym, or we could get a Game Corner encounter, maybe reclaiming our Abra or getting a powerhouse like Scyther or Dratini. There's no need to make the decision now. Instead, we can try our hand against the 4th gym leader, and counting down backwards from the Elite Four, we've got the Ice Specialist Lorelei to deal with. So her team, I had some fun choosing which 3 to replace Erika's team with, since her team is technically fully evolved. I pulled 3 guys that I felt represented Lorelei well, that also weren't too overpowered stat-wise, so we could keep a close difficulty to the original version. Dugong is packing 2 ice moves, one for speed control to make it a little tougher, and Headbutt felt like a very Game Freak move to give it. For Jinx actually learns Ice Punch naturally, so we could keep the power balanced without resorting to Ice Beam. Psychic is a little too strong, so I just gave her some status in Lovely Kiss, and also Double Slap for the Game Freak move. And for Lapras, she's got the standard Water Gun and Confuse Ray, but for her ace, I felt like it was fine to go all out and give her Ice Beam. I couldn't modify the gift TMs, but if I could, she'd definitely hand out Ice Beam. And for the last move, I don't know if the AI would ever use it, but I gave her Perish Song as a finisher. I've got high hopes for this team, so let's see how hard it is. Lorelei starts with her Dugong, and considering that a good chunk of our team is weak to water and ice types, we're starting with the neutral Mouse. Our Hyper Fang actually scores a turn 1 crit, nearly taking her out as Dugong drops her speed with Icy Wind. That lets her outspeed on the next turn, but it's just not enough as one more Hyper Fang takes them out. Jinx is out next, and that aforementioned Ice Punch is gonna hurt, but luckily we've got Chris to resist them. Her lower level plays a big role as we end up 2-shotting her with Ember, leaving one last Pokemon. Lapras hits the field, and I know she's got a fully loaded water gun pointing at us. We can bring out Flowey for the resist, firing back with the best grass move we've got, but Lapras outspeeds us and uses Ice Beam. It's a scary moment, but Flowey hangs on in the red and uses our pathetic Absorb. We need to switch out now so we can bring Chris back out for the resist, but everyone gets hit super effective by something. I genuinely have no idea what's the best plan here, but I do know that we have to get some damage. So Mouse is gonna have to be the one then, as we come in to get some chip with Hyper Fang. It does a good amount, but we're out of luck as one more Ice Beam finishes off our Digrat. But thanks to that chip, we're very safe to bring out Susie and use a super effective Brick Break, finishing off her ace and winning us our 4th gym badge. Our rat can join his other Route 1 buddies in the death box as we have to find another team member to join the team. Our Celadon encounter decision was made off screen. This wasn't bad writing, I just decided off screen. Well, we added Task the Eevee to our party, who quickly becomes Task the Jolteon. And with our new electric option unlocked, we storm through the rocket hideout to find Giovanni at the bottom. Oh, and by the way, there's a PP up in this plan if you're ever curious. At the end of the dungeon, we cleared out both Team Rocket Grunts guarding the door and headed in to find not Giovanni, but Koga. A little spoiler for the 8th gym, but Koga's gonna be guarding the Earth badge, with Giovanni switching places with him to guard the Soul badge. That means Koga will be fighting us in the Team Rocket story moments, so I've given him an appropriate team for this moment and the Sylph Co encounter. His lead coughing can't touch our C-Round, and neither can his Golbat, so Giovanni resorts to Confusion Paraflinch strats. You win this time, buddy, but luckily, we can send out Task to earn his keep and take him out with Thunderbolt. His final Grimer follows suit, but that won't be the last we'll see of his team, and for the 8th gym leader, I'm super excited to show you the final team we gave him. Lavender Tower is next, and this rival battle is technically supposed to be before our last gym, so I don't really have much to talk about here. We catch a Ghastly on our way up, naming him Napstablook, and the Ghost Marowak is taken out by Flowey. Mr. Fuji's at the very top, and after bringing him back to his house, we get awarded the Poke Flute to open up the other half of Kanto. The sleeping Snorlax is first, and we catch him and call him Asgore. Then, we can pass through Cycling Road to connect to Fuchsia City, and in the Safari Zone, we grab a Rhyhorn named King. I'm not looking to add anyone yet, so I felt like now was a good time to get ourselves ready to head in for the 5th gym badge. Now, I touched on it earlier, but Giovanni's going to be swapped with Koga, so we've got to be thinking about how to counter his ground types. His team was easier to make because in his actual gym fight, he's got a double Rhyhorn, so shrinking it down to 4 Pokemon to match Koga was pretty easy. So to start, he's got his Rhyhorn leading the fight with Horn Drill as a crazy turn 1 play, as well as Rock Blast for the coverage. Scary Face and Horn Attack are the Game Freak inclusions. Rounding out, I feel a pretty fair start. Dugtrio is his second strongest, rocking the quadruple ground moves of Sand Tomb to trap you, Dig and Magnitude for some tech, and the elusive Earthquake as a heavy hitter for this point in the game. And lastly, we've got his dynamic duo, scaled down to meet the Gym 5 standards. We've got Nidoqueen with, unfortunately, not the best moves available to us. We've got Body Slam and Poison Sting as the main damage, and also Bite and Double Kick as the Game Freak add-ons. And Nidoking's similar, but with slightly different moves based on their learn set. So as Giovanni leads with Rhyhorn, we're starting with Flowey for the best hard counter. We managed to outspeed on turn 1 and fire off a Giga Drain, scoring a quad effective hit and taking out his first Mon very quickly. Giovanni's going in team order as he sends out Dugtrio next, but since we're still at full health, I feel fine to stay in. We tank a pathetic Magnitude 6 and heal it all back with a single Giga Drain, taking out his second Pokemon. Nidoqueen is gonna be a little different, since her added poison type means Giga Drain won't be super effective anymore. And she also gets a lucky turn 1 para from Body Slam. We struggled to connect back with our Stun Spore, eventually getting it like 3 turns later when we wouldn't be healthy enough to stay in. Nice job, Flowey. At least we can switch into Whimsun, but I completely forgot that Giovanni packs items, healing off the para with the full heal. Our newly upgraded Psybeam is a strong option, and Whimsun proves he's still a valuable member of the team as he lands a critical hit, one-shotting his bulky Mon. But then his ace Nidoking hits the field, and I felt pretty good to stay in. We tank a Thrash fairly well, surviving on 58 HP as we somehow land a second crit with Psybeam. Nido's locked in now, so it's safe to bring out C-Round to resist all his attacks to take him out with our ground coverage. Well, technically we'd be weak to Double Kick, but also technically Nidoking would only be able to use it if he stopped hitting himself in confusion, which isn't happening anytime soon. So as Nido falls, Giovanni goes down as we win our 5th gym badge. The journey back is kinda funny, cause I forgot to pick up the Fly HM, so we've gotta head back up Cycling Road. We catch a Doduo on our way over, getting the nickname Clover because of its 3 heads, but the real difficulty is going uphill all the way up Cycling Road. I may skip leg day in real life, but in Pokemon, we never skip leg day. Our resting place is gonna be Saffron City, but since Team Rocket's taken over, we can't fight the gym yet until we clear them out. There's a rival fight on our way up.
His name is Togor Dreamer.
But since our team's so well rounded, aka got lots of levels from beating the last gym leader, we can take out his unevolved team without breaking a sweat. The only tough one is his Blastoise, but he's only rocking the amazing level 40 water gun, so Flowey can easily take him out with Giga Drain. Alakazam is scary too since he goes for Calm Mind, forcing us to use our physical moves to take him out, but very fortunately, he's only got Future Sight to hit us, so we can connect with Fly to finish off our rival. As a reward, we are gifted a Lapras as our Saffron encounter, so we keep him and give him the nickname Shiren. All that's left to do is take on the leader of Team Rocket, meaning you get to see Koga's second team that I made for him. He starts with Weezing, and we've got C-Round since I forgot if I gave him a Weezing or Muck as his lead. We can start with a little bit of damage, but ultimately, it's gotta be Whimsun with his Psybeam as our dedicated poison answer. Venomoth follows suit, but he manages to paralyze us and hit us with a huge critical hit Gust, Task has to come out and clean him up, and thanks to our powerful Thunderbolt and also level advantage, we can chain the kill on his Muck and his follow-up Golbat too, clearing out Team Rocket for now and giving us access to gym number 6. Now, the next gym is gonna be Blaine, and I'm not expecting him to be a huge problem because obviously we have 2 ground types on the team. We're at the point where these guys are pretty close to their original standings, so Blaine won't see too many differences with his regular Gym 7 position. I did give Arcanine E-Speed though, which I'm hoping this small buff can make him a little more challenging. My thought was maybe the lower level cap can have a little more difficulty for his fully evolved Mons, but having a Golem might invalidate that. So as Blaine leads with Growlithe, we're starting with C-Round to test our theory. The Intimidate drops our attack, but a single Rock Blast is still a one-shot, only needing 2 hits to connect. Honestly, I think the level cap plays a huge part too. I didn't realize Sabrina, because this is matching Sabrina's Mons and their levels, that her team was pretty underleveled compared to the cap. Ponyta goes down, although Blaine's definitely putting up a good fight by crippling us again with the burn. So when Rapidash comes out, we need to go into Suzy for her support. Water Pulse can deal with him, but by the time Arcanine is out, we've taken too much damage and need to tag in Chris for their support. Arcanine does way too much damage though, and even Task can barely survive their attacks. It's too risky to try and survive in extreme speed, and looking at her team, this is kinda tough. Too many Mons weak to fire, so we gotta just stay in and send it. We click Thunderbolt, but Arcanine doesn't even use E-Speed. Obviously, we naturally outspeed, meaning we can finish off Blaine's final Pokemon and collect ourselves badge number 6. All that's left now that we've got Surf unlocked is to make our way towards Cinnabar Island. Sabrina will be the new Gym 7, and this is the point where I'm actually getting scared of their teams because I got to choose some new team members and give them stronger moves. At least we can grab some more encounters just in case, including a Tentacool on our way down called Onion-san, a Coughing inside the Pokemon Mansion called Vulcan, and also revive our Dome Fossil to get a Kabuto named Kara. None of these guys will join the team just yet though, as our existing team's strong enough to take on the revamped 7th gym leader. So when I was designing Sabrina's team, I still wanted to keep it as 4 Pokemon to match the original Gym 7 team size, but it didn't make sense to repeat Kadabra and Alakazam. Evolving him into double Alakazam didn't make sense either, so we're gonna start adding new Pokemon. To start the battle, she'll keep Venomoth the same, but I upgraded her to have Psychic instead of Psybeam and Silverwind instead of Leech Life. Some better tech too, in case the AI wants to speed control with the para or just put you to sleep. Mr. Mime stays as well, with a slightly more annoying set with Substitute and Encore, so you can't set up on her without the risk of being locked in. Psychic, of course, to upgrade from Psybeam, and also the rare Magical Leaf tech for some type coverage. I thought about giving her the Game Freak move of Double Slap, but I decided not to, just to keep the difficulty up. Her ace Alakazam stays, but I decided to not use Future Sight anymore since that move is dumb. We're keeping Psychic, and with Calm Mind and Recover, this Mon could get out of hand and sweep you if the rest of her team wears you down first. And hopefully, her new addition can help in weakening your team, as I've added Espeon to replace Kadabra, with disruptions like Sand Attack for some annoyance, and Morning Sun to make her harder to remove. So let's see how it goes, as Sabrina starts with Venomoth, as we've mistakenly brought Flowey as the lead. That forces us to switch out, but Venomoth puts us to sleep on the switch in, making us vulnerable to her Psychic spam. Still though, we're able to wake up early enough to take her out with a single Flamethrower, which means Mr. Mime is out next. I know it's gonna be a Psychic here, but seeing as we're still really healthy, we stayed in for one more Flamethrower. It proves to be the right choice, as we bring her super low and even get the 10% burn, making Mr. Mime unable to set up with Substitute. A few more Flamethrowers burn through both her Hyper Potions, so not only can we get rid of Mr. Mime, but Sabrina also can't heal anymore. Espeon is out third, and honestly, if it weren't for Game Freak's weird levels of Gym 7's original team, we'd have a much harder time against her Psychic spam. The Sand Attack is annoying, but Chris can break through by spamming Flamethrower to take her out, leaving only her ace. Alakazam threatens us with the powerful Psychic, and after the -1 accuracy, I wasn't risking it. We call on Whimsun for his support, but Alakazam sets up with Calm Mind. twice, actually. Luckily, all bug moves are physical in the Game Boy era, so we can still use Silverwind for big damage. But Alakazam tanks it. Literally 1 HP, by the way. I don't really know what to do here. This is gonna be a +2 Psychic coming our way. Unfortunately, there's only one thing we can do, and that is to accept our fate as Alakazam connects with a Psychic, taking out our Whimsun. It's always Alakazam, man. Even just one Calm Mind is too much. Task has Quick Attack, and since we made Sabrina waste her heals earlier, we can pick off her Final Mon to win us the battle. Not totally happy with the Whimsun sacrifice, but we did the best we could. Now that I think about it, everyone that we caught before Gym 1 is dead besides our starter. Maybe that's us subconsciously getting rid of the weaker guys, but either way, to replace our fallen soldier, we brought out the gift Lapras from Silphco to cover our water weakness while also packing some ice tech. You can't go wrong with bulky water types, so I figured that'd be the perfect addition to round out our team. And since we're passing on the Sevi Island stuff, we headed back to the mainland to take out our 8th and final gym leader. We've teased his team twice now, but this will be the final confrontation against the new leader of Team Rocket. You've already seen some of his team, but I went all out when choosing their moves. To start, we've got Weezing, but he's packing Sludge Bomb for stab, Shadow Ball, and Flamethrower for coverage, and if all else fails, he can just explode to go 1-for-1. Fortress is a new one, and this is that Gen 2 rep that also fits with his ninja aesthetic, and he's also here to be a headache with spikes and toxic, but also stuff like counter so you'll think twice about clicking a physical move, and he can also just explode too. Venomoth is also here, but instead of the level up moveset, we're bringing Sludge Bomb of course, but also Sleep Powder for a disruptor, as well as Psychic and Giga Drain for coverage. Muck, you guys already know, but I was super annoying with this moveset. Acid Armor to boost defenses, and the cheeky Minimize to make him impossible to hit. And then Sludge Bomb and Thunderbolt for some damage options. And lastly, since we're bringing out the Gen 2 guys, his Golbat has evolved into Crobat since our last fight, carrying the powerful Poison Fang, Fly, Shadow Ball, and Confuse Ray for that disruption, and also kinda Game Freak tech. So that's the breakdown, let's see how we do. Koga starts with Weezing, as we've got our newest team member Shiren to start the battle. I used the one and only Psychic TM we got on him, which gives us a very strong, super effective move into Koga's entire team. This also lets us waste one of his heals, as a second Psychic gets a better roll and one-shots him from full health. Venomoth is out next, trying to use a super effective Giga Drain, but Shiren and his insane bulk tanks it and fires back with another Psychic for a second one-shot. Muck is out third, but this guy's actually bulky and survives the first one. He tries to go for minimize strats, but unlike Koga, we battle with honor here, as one more Psychic is able to find its target to take him out. Koga sends out Fortress now, but since we've got a fire type on the team, this isn't a problem. A single Flamethrower can clean up his Bagworm, leaving that aforementioned ace Crobat. He actually goes for the Game Freak move and outspeeds to confuse us, and Chris just can't land a single hit as we first hit ourselves, then Crobat avoids our attack since he's flying, and then we hit ourselves again. Not putting up much of a fight here, Chris. So we've got to switch into C round. Crobat still tries to pull some confusion cheese, but the Rock Blast is more than enough to connect and finish off his ace, taking out Koga's final team member and winning us the battle, making all 8 gym badges of this reverse Kanto now in our possession. All that's left is the Elite Four and Champion, so we headed over for the final challenge. Our rival Togor stops us again, but this is actually the last time we'll see him. I'll explain after we've beaten the Elite Four, but I did change out the champion fight for something a little more reversed. Like before, Togor's still not a threat, as one by one, each of his Pokemon goes down pretty effortlessly. Pidgeot with Thunderbolt, Rhyhorn with Giga Drain, Alakazam with Fly, Blastoise with Giga Drain, Growlithe with the Rain Boosted Surf, and Execute with one final Ice Beam. Goodbye, Togor, you will be missed, but your replacement champion battle will be even more hype. We clear through the badge checkers and Victory Road, collecting one last encounter on our way over as we catch image_friend the Onyx, but it's just a formality at this point, cause we already know our final team. And with everyone leveled up, it's time to take on the final gauntlet of our reversed FireRed. First up, replacing Lorelei will be Erika. I took the main 3 she uses and added 2 new faces to match each Elite Four's team size of 5 Pokemon. So to start, she's got Tangela as her lead now, with disruptors like Stun Spore and Sleep Powder, Mega Drain for damage, and the Game Freak edition of Slam as the random move slot add. Her second Mon is a new face. It's gonna be a Blossom to match her aesthetic as well as get some Gen 2 rep. She's got Petal Dance as her main attack, as well as Magical Leaf for the perfect accuracy, and Acid for some coverage. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we've got a new Kantomon joining her team, that being an Exeggutor to be a bulky grass type. With Hypnosis and Leech Seed on this set, I feel like this one will be a headache to break through, especially when she hits hard with Stab Psychic and can easily heal back up with Giga Drain. 4th and 5th, of course, are her dynamic duo of Victreebel and Vileplume, and they've got pretty standard sets, except Victreebel has Stockpile to boost her defenses, and Vileplume has Moonlight to keep herself healthy. Editor's note here, I didn't know that Stockpile only gave the defense boost starting in Gen 4. In Gen 3, it was just a number, I guess, for how much Swallow and Spit Up should do, so Victreebel's just got a useless move. Well, regardless, Elite Four Erika challenges us to a battle, and we can test out her team to see how it would do. Thankfully, since we chose Charmander as our starter, we're good to outspeed 5 times and get 5 one-shots thanks to our charcoal boosted flamethrowers. If we didn't have a fire type, I could see this being a challenge, especially that Exeggutor, but sometimes that's just how these Elite Four battles play out. Second up, replacing Bruno will be Lieutenant Surge. His original team has some overlap with Pikachu and Raichu, so we've got to add 3 Pokemon to round out his new team. For his lead, we've got a familiar face in Electrode, ideally to set up a light screen and maybe explode if things get bad. Pretty much everyone's got Thunderbolt, and I also threw on Mirror Coat to try and dissuade any special attacks. Second in command is Jolteon, with Thunder instead of Thunderbolt to foreshadow his ace. We'll get to that later, but hopefully some of these Thunders miss because I want this to be a learning moment. Thunder Wave and Sand Attack are good disruptors, and Double Kick is the Game Freak move of choice. Third up for Surge is gonna be another new addition. We've got Electabuzz. I think this one will be scary because he's got the classic Bolt Beam coverage. The Ice Punch and Thunderbolt combo is gonna cover every type combination at least neutrally effective, and the other 2, Thunder Wave and Light Screen, are here to help give Buzz more opportunities to fire off more attacks. Second to last, we've got Magneton, and with that Steel typing, I'm hoping he can be harder to break through. He has Thunderbolt like normal, but I also gave him some rare tech with Lock-On and Zap Cannon. I hope the AI knows how to use it, and if it can pull it off, that's a guaranteed para on the Zap Cannon. And for extra support, we have Metal Sound to put us at -2 special defense, which is basically the same as if Magneton got Nasty Plot. This one I am a little nervous for, but the one I'm most scared of is his ace Raichu. If Thunder missed earlier on Jolteon, I'm hoping Raichu can teach the player how to make it always land by setting up Rain Dance first. 120 base power Thunders coming from Raichu are gonna hurt like a truck, so you better have a ground type ready. I wanted to bring Surf, but since you only get that in a niche event, it felt wrong to give it to Surge. It's still gotta stay true to the original FireRed, so at least that was my logic behind it. His other moves are gonna be Light Screen for some survivability, and unfortunately, the best I can do is Iron Tail for the Game Freak move. So let's see how this goes. Elite Four Surge starts the battle with Electrode, and we've got K-Round as our lead. Electrode can't touch us, so he opts to set up the light screen as we can hit him with an Earthquake, getting an easy knockout on turn 1. Jolteon comes out next, funnily enough, because he wants to use the Game Freak move Double Kick. We obviously tank it thanks to our defenses, so one more Earthquake and Jolteon goes down. Electabuzz is out next, and in all honesty, I forgot I gave him Ice Punch. He hits us with a super effective move, but K-Round tanks it. We fire back with another Earthquake, getting our third one-shot and making that 2 Pokemon left. The AI actually sends out Raichu first. I'm guessing because it saw he had the super effective Iron Tail, but now that he's out, I guess the AI saw it wouldn't kill and went for Rain Dance instead. So that lets us slide in for Earthquake kill number 4, leaving only his Magneton left. We can spread out the XP a little by switching into Suzy, taking him out with the dig, and winning us the second Elite Four battle. For the third Elite Four battle, Agatha's been replaced by Misty, and this one, I had a lot of fun designing the revamped teams. Her original team is the same Evo line, so we'll save Starmie for her ace, which leaves 4 new slots for us to be creative. So leading off for Misty, we're giving her Golduck as her lead, starting off strong to throw you off. With Calm Mind to boost her attacks, and the combination of Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Psychic, this should be a tough one to break through. Golduck is kind of fast, so I'm hoping this can catch some people off guard. Second up, we've got Dugong, which is someone that I felt fit Misty's overall vibe really well. She's got Ice Beam and Surf as the main attacking moves, as well as Rest for recovery, and the cheeky Sheer Cold in case you forgot about the level caps. Probably won't see any use, but good to keep people on their toes. Third up, I gave her Vaporeon, and this one's a similar set with Hydro Pump and Ice Beam. Pretty much all of her team will have their Water move and then Ice Beam. And for Vaporeon, I gave her Bite since Dark moves are all special in Gen 3, and also Acid Armor just for a little defense buffing. Fourth, this one I'm excited to unveil. We've got a Lapras for her team. With Hydro Pump and Ice Beam, I'm anticipating this one to be a difficult mon to break through. Bulky water types are no joke, and that's exactly why we've got one on our team. And lastly, you already know it's gotta be her Starmie, with the wicked set of Cosmic Power to become unkillable, as well as the coverage moves of Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt. I hope this is where Misty uses the full restores after 2 or 3 Cosmic Powers, and then her Bolt Beam coverage can clean up the rest of your team. Let's test out her team. So as Elite Four Misty starts with Golduck, you probably already saw this one coming. We lead with Task to start outspeeding and firing off Thunderbolts. There's no need to mess around with tanking Hydros or Ice Beams if we just outspeed and one-shot them. Golduck goes down, which then brings out Dugong, but another Thunderbolt can one-shot her too. Even his cousin Vaporeon doesn't stand a chance, as Task shocks her back to her place for 10 hours. I mean, she clipped her paw on the Pokeball, please. I think. Lapras is out fourth, but Task is just too strong, as a 4th Thunderbolt gets the one-shot there. And her ace Starmie, unfortunately not the best showing for Misty, as she also gets outsped and one-shot with a Thunderbolt, making that a total Task Manager sweep and leaving only 1 Elite Four member left. This is the make or break here. Everything we've been doing with all the swapping and new teams comes down to Brock's redesigned team. So to start, we have his signature Geodude evolved up into a Golem to start the battle on his side. With the classic EQ and Rock Slide, as well as Brick Break for coverage and the Ripcord option of Explosion, this one felt like a great evolution to Geodude and a strong lead for him. Next up, I wanted to diversify his team a little since Brock's replacing Lance, and Lance uses some non-dragon team members as long as they're thematically fitting enough. So Pokemon number 2 is gonna be Marowak. Actually, lore-wise, it's the same Marowak from Pokemon Tower. I gave him Earthquake, Rock Slide, Double Edge to use his Rock Head ability, and a secret 4th move that I'll show you when we're in the actual battle. This one I was the most excited for. For his 3rd Pokemon, we of course gotta go with the pseudo-legendary Tyranitar to live up to Lance's status, with an insane set of EQ and Rock Slide, Crunch for the Dark Stab, and a very scary Dragon Dance. If he sets up 1 or 2 of these, you might get reverse swept before you even realize what's happening. For his 4th Pokemon, to give him some fossil representation, we've got the Goat Aerodactyl stepping up to counter grass types. That was why I didn't want to rely on Omastar or Kabutops either, cause a single Vine Whip would probably sweep half his team then. Arrow's got EQ and Rock Slide, and also Fly to stop our grass types, and why not throw on Iron Tail for the coverage? Last but not least, we've got the ace himself, the bane of every kid who started with Charmander, Steelix as his final mon. EQ and Rock Slide are a given, but to round out his team, we have the Stab Irontail to land huge blows, as well as the Special Crunch for some coverage. This is gonna be a pretty crazy fight, so let's see how we do. Elite 4 Brock starts the battle with Golem, as we're starting with Flowey for the quad effective hard counter. We go for a Sunny Day on turn 1, becoming Omega Flowey as the sun shines down on us and activates our Chlorophyll ability, doubling our speed for the next 5 turns. All we have to do is tank an Earthquake, and on the next turn, we can outspeed and one-shot him with the Giga Drain, regaining all our lost health and making that 4 mons left. Aerodactyl comes out next, and normally he would be a problem, but thanks to the sun, we actually outspeed. We land a Sleep Powder, putting him to sleep and giving us the window to fire off 2 Solar Beams. The first one connects, but Brock heals with the full restore. That means he's awake now, and our sun has also worn off, meaning Flowey's gotta tag out. Since we saw him lock himself into a fly, we can bring out K-Round for the resist, then tank an Earthquake thanks to our high defenses, and finish off the Pterodon with a single Rock Blast. Tyranitar hits the field, and at this point, I did remember that he gets Dragon Dance, so we've got to stay on the offense. He doesn't use it, instead trying to pick us off with Earthquake, but K-Round survives. The 11 HP clutch means we can fire back with the quad effective Brick Break, scoring a big hit and taking out a Pseudo. Brock sends out Marowak now, so we definitely need to switch. We bring out Shyren to tank whatever he's got, and Marowak reveals the final move. He's got the physical Shadow Ball to represent the ghosts of Pokemon Tower, but it's not enough as Shyren tanks it and fires back with a Surf. Marowak can't survive it, which now leaves one final Pokemon. His Ace Steelix hits the field, but I know that we outspeed. We fire off one more Surf, and Steelix falls. We have defeated the final member of the Elite Four with one challenge standing between us and becoming champion. That challenge stands before us in the champion room, and unfortunately, the sprites cannot work here because otherwise, every time that we bump into our rival, it would spoil the final fight. I can fix the sprite with some editing, revealing the final challenge of the game to be none other than Professor Samuel Oak himself. Who else but the first person to help us get started on our Pokemon journey to be the final boss of this FireRed reverse challenge. I took huge inspiration from Professor Oak's scrap battle in the original Gen 1 games when I was making his team, so his lead is going to be the same lead as those battles, starting off with Tauros. His Intimidate will give him a small advantage, and his moveset is pretty standard too, with Body Slam and Earthquake as the main damage dealers. I threw on Rock Tomb to give him some speed control, as well as Swagger to give him some personality, because, so normally in the game lore, he whips his tails around to get himself angry, but in the Pokemon manga, which I owe all of this channel's success to, he whips his tails around to get other Pokemon riled up to attack. Then, we've got a group of 3, that being Gyarados, Arcanine, and Exeggutor. Usually, your rival will drop one of them depending on whichever starter he gets, but since this is Professor Oak, he can get all 3 for an extra challenge. Everyone's moveset is pretty normal, with probably Exeggutor's as the most annoying thanks to Giga Drain, but I did balance that out with the Game Freak move Egg Bomb. Oh, and Arcanine still got E-Speed, so that should be fun. That's the main 4 Pokemon, but Oak's also got a secret weapon. In our playthrough, I started with Charmander as Blue started with Squirtle, meaning Professor Oaks kept the abandoned 3rd starter and trained him up into a Venusaur. This set is really strong, with Sunny Day, Growth to boost our special attack, 1-turn Solar Beams thanks to the sunlight, and boosted Syntheses thanks to the sunlight to recover 2/3 of his health. Just to touch on the other starters briefly, if we had started with those, he'd have a Charizard with the pretty standard moveset, Aerial Ace is really there if you want to spam evasion, and Blastoise is pretty standard too with Rain Strats and Hydro Pump. No Ice Beam though, I had some mercy when designing that one. But that's only 5 Pokemon. Who's the last member of his team? Who's his ace at level 63? I'll show you in a moment. First, let's take on his main team of 5. champion Professor Oak starts the battle, sending out Tauros as we're starting with the one who's been with us since the beginning, the one who watched all their friends die, Chris the Charizard. I truly did not remember that Tauros had Rock Tomb, but luckily he chooses to use Swagger instead. We hit ourselves, which in hindsight is a huge save since I decided to switch out in this moment. We tag out into Susie, switching in on a body slam, but he doesn't get the para. Tauros somehow outspeeds us and hits us with a super effective Earthquake, and Susie just barely lives on 18 HP. This isn't good, but at least we can counter back with a Brick Break, scoring a critical hit and nearly taking him out in return. Tauros has to heal here, so we can go for one more Brick Break, but it's not a two-shot. We need to switch back out into Chris on the Earthquake, but unfortunately, this is random move. Tauros uses Body Slam, getting another critical hit and bringing us to 18 HP again. We are only on the first Pokemon, and this is already not looking good. K-Round can resist the Body Slam, and then on the next turn, we dodge the Swagger and fire back with the Brick Break. It thankfully breaks through his HP and scores us the KO, meaning we are one down, but nearly traded both Chris and Susie. Venusaur comes out next, and unfortunately, Chris is too low to be the dedicated answer, but Venusaur's stuck setting up Solar Beam, not recognizing that you're supposed to set up the Sunny Day first. Flowey can come out and tank the quad resisted hit, countering back with a Sleep Powder and putting him to sleep since grass types aren't immune to powder moves until Gen 6. We needed this sleep because that gives Chris the chance to come in for free and fire off a blaze boosted flamethrower, one-shotting his starter and evening out the playing field. Professor Oak wants to be a little stinker because he completely ruins my grand reveal and sends out the secret ace early. Thank you, Samuel. This was supposed to be like a cool final moment, but hang on, let me interject with my graphic again to show you his ace in the middle of the battle. So for his ace Mew, first, lore-wise, I feel like if anyone deserves to know about Mew and keep him safe, it should be Professor Oak. Mew is his sync pair in Pokemon Masters, whatever that means. I don't know anything about that game. But what a cool finale to end on, taking out the grandfather of all Pokemon, being partnered with the grandfather of our Pokemon adventure. Mew's carrying a Citrus Berry like all the boss aces do, and he's packing Psychic obviously, but since he can learn every move, we've got the souped up versions of the elemental attacks. Fire Blast, Blizzard, and Thunder off of Mew's base 100 special attack is gonna hit insanely hard, so hopefully the lower accuracy can balance that out a bit. For example, we switch Taskin to take the hit for Chris, and their Psychic does almost half. We can outspeed with Bite, and we somehow land a critical hit. That helps us a ton, but another Psychic puts us low and in KO range. Mew Citrus means they won't be in heal range, so we have one last shot to outspeed and take him out. A Stab Thunderbolt should do more than a super effective Bite, so we go for it, and Mew goes down. That's officially 3 Pokemon taken care of, making that half his team down. Professor Oak now sends out Exeggutor, and it's tough to deal with the grass type again, but we already know the trick. Flowey can come in as Eggy wastes the turn with the Game Freak move Egg Bomb, but another Sleep Powder can put him to sleep, and then another switch can let us bring Chris out safely to fire off another blaze boosted Stab Flamethrower for another one-shot. 2 Pokemon left as Oak sends out Gyarados first, and I know the best option is to bring out Task for his Thunderbolt. We need a clean switch, so Flowey, who's quickly becoming MVP, can do the same song and dance to put Gyara to sleep with Sleep Powder before switching safely into Task. Gyara stays asleep, so a single quad effective Thunderbolt does the trick, leaving one final Mon. Arcanine hits the field last, and at this stage of the battle, we've already know we've won. Shyren comes out for the killing blow, firing off Surf after Surf as Professor Oak tries over and over again to heal back to full. But his bag is running empty, and after draining all 3 heals, we can fire off one final Surf, finishing off his pup and winning us not only the Professor Oak fight, but also crowning us as the Kanto champion and winning us the entire run. And that is how I reversed FireRed and beat this inverted Kanto run. Moral of the story, I loved it. You can call me a Gen 1er all you want, but Kanto will always have a special place in my heart. So any changes like this to make the game feel fresh again is always a win for me. Especially in the beginning, seeing all these new bosses felt like when I was first playing FireRed as a kid again. Once again, I'm thinking to release this as a patch so you can play it. So if there's enough demand for it, then I'll start working on that. I'll put it in the description and make a community post if I do that, so make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss it. 2026 is gonna be the year of fun challenges like this, so I hope you'll be part of the journey. In the meantime, if you're looking for a similar challenge, I've also modded FireRed to make everyone fully evolved. That was a really fun challenge and especially hard at the beginning, so if you're interested at all, you can click here to see it. Alright, that's all from me. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.